Hi guys, welcome back again. I was just on live stream and just done a video on mentors and how to handle rejections just a few minutes ago. And this video is talking about how to write a story. And a lot of people think, oh, it's easy, you just write it. Yeah, you can make up anything to do it, but you want to be a good story to start out. So, as I mentioned, I bought me a $5 from Family Dollar eraser board. It's easy to erase. You can do goals, notes, and like what I'm doing, how-to tutorials, education, live stream videos. How to write a story. This is mine. You got to come up with yours, with you all's. The title of my story is Biscuit. Biscuit is a dog's name. So I have listed of the characters that I'm using in my story. The dog's name, what? Biscuit. The character boy name that I'm using is Griffin, and the girl's name is Amy. So I'm going to have to write a story in the contrary of Biscuit, Griffin, and Amy. This is how you do it. I don't want y'all to see it yet as I write this out. We'll talk about it when I'm done. So we're going to see a few minutes while you think of your story and while I write mine out, and give time for other people to come in and view. I am live stream right now, you all. This is going to be it's a sample. Not going to turn it in. It's just to use for this video. I'm going to write it in print so it's easier to read. And you all know a person's name, place, or thing, it's always capitalized. It shouldn't take long. It's not a real long story. It's just short, give you an idea. It's just example how to do it. Like, for example, let's go ahead and show you all how to write a story. The names of the characters I got listed here. This is with the letter C. These are the characters. Biscuit is the dog. Draw the arrow there. Griffin is the boy of one of the characters. He's the owner of this dog. Amy is the next door neighbor of Griffin. Here it goes. Here's an example. How to write a story. It's short. I haven't finished, but this gives you an idea. I have a dog named Biscuit, period. Griffin is the owner of Biscuit, which is the dog's what? His name. Amy lives next door to who? To Griffin, the little boy. She's the neighbor. I didn't get all the punctuation, all that yet. We're just getting you to flow the idea of how to write a story. It's 3 paragraphs. That's all I did right now, just to give you an example. I have a dog named Biscuit. Griffin is the owner of Biscuit. Amy lives next door to Griffin. See, all that fits in the plot on how to write a story. I got Biscuit's the dog's name. Griffin's the little boy, the owner of the dog. And Amy's what? She's his next door neighbor. So that's the first little bit of it. You got the idea how to start off writing a story. Next, we're going to write a little bit more to Amy. Okay? Amy and Griffin love dogs. So And that's the whole story. It don't have to be 10 pages. It can be short. That's your story. I have a dog named Biscuit. Griffin's the owner of Biscuit, which is the dog's name. Amy lives next door to Griffin. They're neighbors. They're real close. Good friends. More like best friends. Amy and Griffin love dogs. So they also have something in common because they both love dogs. They love animals. So you get an idea of how to write a story. If you want it longer, I can erase all this and write a whole page, but we're not going to do that because it's taking a little bit of time on other things and projects. So that gives you a demonstration on how to write a story. You have to come up with your title, the name of your title, and I only listed 3 characters because it was a short story. Biscuit the dog, Griffin the boy in the story, and Amy the next door neighbor. There's 3 characters. That's all I needed for 4 paragraphs of a short story. I used 3 characters in a 4 paragraph. You see how I did that? Is it making any sense to you all? If you want to just use words like, let's see here, because I'm trying not to get you all confused. If there's certain words that you just want to pick out, it don't have to be Griffin, Biscuit, or Amy. It can be Susan. It can be Jake. It can be Jake's Aunt Molly. If you want to write about just other famous people, you have to have a good title. The title's got to pop out in your stories, essays, or if you write in a book, it has to pop out to the reader or the viewer. If that doesn't pop out, they're going to go down and check out another book, a list, or a title. This just popped in my head. I didn't plan it. It just popped in my head as I went along with the how to write a story video. So I get stuck a lot. I mean, like I said, it took me 4 or 5 years just to when I started Emma and Her Mom Jane. That's the title of my book. It is a novel. It's a writer sort of like novel deal. And it took me a while to come up with all these characters and the actual right title that will fit my book. If the title don't fit your book, you're going to have to go in there and play around and redo your title. And I've done that over like 4 or 5 times. But this is just a tutorial because a lot of people get stuck. Well, how do you write a story? Well, how can I match my title with the story? And who can tell the whole summary of this little story I did? Do you know what the summary is about? Is it all about the dog named Biscuit? It's pretty much about Griffin and his dog. He's the owner of that dog, and he has a good close friend named Amy, and she's his neighbor. She loves dogs too. She has 2 of them, but we didn't go further into that. I just made a 4 paragraph and used 3 characters, and the title of it is just Biscuit. Even though I added a boy, Griffin, and a girl named Amy to it. You had to add on to it to make the story come alive. It's not finished. It's got a little more ways to write and go, but I stopped it there because I don't want to confuse you all. If you write a whole big page when you're just starting out to be a writer or learning how to write a story, you want it to be short, discreet, and simple. Once you get better, interacting, intervening, and writing your stories, then you can go writing more pages, using more using more characters with your story, or if it's a book. A lot of people, for instance, they get nervous trying to draw their first blueprint, and I did like 2 of them in my videos. I was nervous, but I wrote it out the best way I can. You can do it in clouds. You can write it just in labels of words. I do it in like a bubble. And we're going to do a little demonstration how to do a blueprint to a story. This is different, you all, so just bear with me on that. It's not long. It's kind of short. I'm going to draw a line right here. This still connects to the story, but now we're going to do a blueprint. If you don't want to write it, do it in a blueprint way. A blueprint story. You know how people do write comic books? They do a lot of their interaction with comic books, and they do it in blueprint and story. Okay, we're going to do it like this. Just bear with me now. This is new. I never did it on these type of boards. Okay, your first one's going to be, you got to have what? A title. This is your first thing. This second one, this ain't the greatest one. I'm doing this one in circles. You got to list the characters that's going to be in your book or story. You got to have your title, list of characters, the beginning, what your story is going to be about, or book. And then you know you're going to have a middle, the middle to your story. And then you got the end when it's finally written out. This is sort of like my blueprint. Right now it's just circles because all of this up here took over the page. So in this little blueprint you see that I just drew, you got to have a title before you can have a story. If you don't have a title, how are you going to be able to write the beginning of your story? You got to have a title. You got to list your characters of your story. Who's going to be in your story? All these three are connected. 1, 2, and 3. And it's listed like 5. But 1, you got to find your title. 2, you got to list your characters. It could be 3, more than 1. 3 is the beginning of your story. How's your story going to come about? The beginning, how you going to write it out. 4 is the middle of it. What's going to take place. The beginning, what's going to be the middle, what's going to take place of the story. And then your final is the end of it. How's your ending going to be to your story, to your essay, or the ending of your final whole thing you done with your book. And it has to all fit through your title. If your story doesn't match your title, it's going to go south. It's not going to make sense. It's not going to do well. So you got to have a title. You got to list your characters. You got to begin your story, have a middle to it, and then the end. And then down here, it's going to be a little bigger kind of circle. You got to rough draft it when you're done with it. Go back and read over it and correct your errors, mistakes on it. You got to do all that, and that takes time. That's not going to happen over a day. That's going to take a few months. And then over here is your main goal when you completed everything. Is your final what? Draft. When it's done and over with. When it's done. That will connect to that once you correct your mistakes. This falls through the editing. You got to edit before you final draft. The rough draft is like editing. Editing your work. After you figure out your title, you list your characters. Begin with your story. You're writing it out. After you then got your characters, you putting the characters in your story. Then you have a middle. What's going to take place once you start writing the story, the middle setting of it. And then what's going to happen till you get to the end of your story or whatever you're writing. Then you got the edit, rough draft it before it's final done. Before you final draft it. This is the final. Let's move it over some. The final whole obstacle thing once you're done. Your goal's completed once you get it final draft and looked over. And it takes months. Like I said, it took Kim Chance 10 years to write The Keeper. So you have to fool around with it. I'm sorry about the sunlight, the reflection of sunlight. I have a bunch of windows there, and it's what's bringing my natural light effect in. So in the other video, you might saw parts of specks of the sun, but it gets better throughout the video. It's not the camera's fault, it's the lighting through my window. So you see how to get an idea on how to write a story. You have to come up with your title, list of characters, what your story is going to be about, which mine was Biscuit. Yours will be different. I listed the characters that's going to be in my story. I wrote the 4-paragraph story there, and I did my own blueprint at the bottom. Just giving you an example how to do your own blueprint. If you're an artist and you can draw, that's great. But yeah, this is a tutorial on how to write a story. You have your titles, your title, your list of characters is going to be involved in the story, and then you got to actually write it, and you do your own blueprint connecting to it. But this here is just telling you how to blueprint your story, how you list it in order or the settings. Just the way I did it. Title, characters, beginning, middle, end, editing, rough draft, and then finalizing it, final drafting it. So you all get an idea how to write a story now. I hope this helps you and it made sense to you, and you can learn from this video, because both of these 2 videos I did today is very explanatory and it's learning. I love to help people that wants to be helped. If you don't want to be helped and don't want to try to learn how to write, then that's your loss. These are to the ones that are writers out there that wants to be a writer, that wants to know how to do stories, how to come up with a great title, how to come up with plot 1, 2, and 3, which is the same as the beginning, middle, and end. That relates to plot 1, 2, and 3. And I've done I think a blueprint and a blogging video on that about a week or 2 ago. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video on how to write a story, an example on how to blueprint your story. I'm not an artist, you see, but I think I did good pretty description on how to do your blueprint. So if you like this video so far, feel free to give me a thumbs up. I'm hoping you're having a great Thursday, because this is a Thursday's video. I might have said Friday, meant to say Thursday. This is the second one on my Thursday video today. And if you like it and have any questions, feel free to ask the questions below at the end of this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, show your love and support, and subscribe to my channel. And you all have a blessed Thursday. It's still showing the sun effect here. I'm trying to get this more into my video because it kind of got cut off on the last one. You all have a great Thursday. Bye now.